Today we're going up into the mountains, but before we go into the mountains, I need to do a little resupply. Know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go into Walmart, get some food, then get on the road. What do you think? I know, I should have an auto lock, but my locks are a little wonky, so you gotta do it manually. Walmart, baby. White onions. Now for some broccoli. You know, that stuff. Now onto the beef. Mission accomplished. Now I want a tiny little treat. I'm thinking grapes. But I don't want red grapes. I want white grapes. I wonder where they are. I don't see them. Oh wait. Huh. There they are. White grapes. Alright. I think we're all set. Let's go pay for this stuff and get out of here. Hey, look at that. $20.96.
Insert cash or select payment type.
Which is exactly how much money I have. Let's get on the road. You know, the road, kiddies. Mountain you're seeing in the distance, that is Flatiron Mountain. We're headed to Canyon Lake. I want you to look dead center. What you're seeing is an artifact of the mountain face. So for one of my friends, they see that as not, you know, an edifice of the mountain. What they see that as is Helm's Deep. And if you don't know what Helm's Deep is, it's from the Lord of the Rings. It's where Aragorn and Theoden defend the castle named Helm's Deep. So I'll just throw that up on the screen so you can sort of see it. That's sort of what that, and to be honest with you, that's exactly what it looks like. We're gonna pull over right here. Right about here. That's a much nicer view, unobstructed. Look at that. I just want to climb that. I want to climb it. I want to climb that mountain. I want to start right there and just start climbing. Right, let's get back on the road. Lake vista. Let's go take a look. Let's go take a look at Canyon Lake Vista. That's Canyon Lake, and this is the vista. We are going to park for the night right behind that mountain and a little bit further up the road. And if necessary, I just passed a campsite on the road here, so I just passed a campsite right up the road. So I think, you know, push come to shove, I'll park there for the night. But this is where we're parking tonight. All right. So let's talk a little bit about engineering the Apache Trail. And this was built, the trail was built long before 1903, but it was built in 1903 by the United States Reclamation Service engineers that were preparing construction for the Roosevelt Dam. And that whole project was headed by Lewis C. Hill. The dam site was more than 60 miles from Phoenix and accessible only through a series of remote and rugged trails. So that meant that they needed to build some kind of road in and out in order to get to the dam. And the dam is just beyond that huge rock face over there, which I'll show you in just a moment. So the reclamation chose Mesa as the home base, and the construction of the road between Mesa and the dam site began in earnest. Construction of the 64-mile-long Mesa-Roosevelt Road, later part of the Apache Trail, State Route 88, took little over a year at a cost of $200,000. By the time the entire route was completed in 1905, the final price tag was over $500,000, and the Apache Trail consisted at that point of 112 miles of roads. All right, so basically they constructed a whole bunch of roads to get in and out to the dam, to the Roosevelt Dam. So I just want to show you this right here. Where are we? We're right about here. The dam is over here. We're going to go look at that in just a little bit. And there is the dam, and we will be right about here, I think. Is that right? No, we'll be here on this side of the dam. But this is not why we're talking about the dam, or this is not why we're talking about the Apache Trail, because the Apache Trail also consists of a whitewashed piece of history, and I just want to share it with you. The plaque here doesn't do it justice, but it's just a thumbnail. So just listen to the plaque. All right, so Roosevelt Dam was an important engineering accomplishment, but the other compelling and often overlooked narrative of these federal irrigation projects was their workforce. Large-scale projects brought together racially and ethnically diverse groups who helped build the American West. The Roosevelt Dam was no exception here. Although the level of diversity on its later workforces was, by the Bureau of Reclamation Projects, was not as diverse. Historically, the wages were often higher for projects in the Southwest in order to attract workers to isolated areas. The United States Reclamation Service often, for example, offered relatively good wages to men willing to come to the Roosevelt worksite. The average wage for laborers employed in quarrying stone, transporting mortar, concrete and stonework, and laying of that masonry was between, are you ready for this one? $1.50 and $2 a day. Let that sink in for just a moment. The highest wages were for engineers who were paid upwards of $12 a day. These were usually white engineers. Despite the higher wages, the cost of living in the remote area was hugely inflated. Only a handful of goods and services were available, and the work was grueling, making attracting and retaining laborers for the project exceptionally difficult. Reclamation broadened their search criteria to actively recruit Italian, Mexican, African American, and here's the kicker, Apache workers for the task of building the Apache Trail and the Roosevelt Dam. In addition to these groups, the resident workers of the Roosevelt Dam project included immigrants from Germany, Scotland, England, French Canada, Japan, and China. We'll get to this in just a little bit, because this whole thing, this next piece is just mind-blowing, especially in 2021. So while this practice allowed for diverse workers, it also reflected problems inherent to these types of large-scale projects, including reported incidents of racial tensions among African Americans and Italians. Let that one sink in for just a little bit. This is whitewashing, thumbnailing. Not even, it doesn't get into the details and not even to the weeds. Just here, let me breeze over the fact that there were racial tensions. You bet your ass there's fucking racial tensions. That's called racism where I come from. Here's the kicker. Barring Chinese workers from certain jobs and segregated mess halls, segregated mess halls, bathhouses, and living quarters. Residential segregation also carried over into the workday, where jobs and work crews were often organized along racial and ethnic lines. An example of this practice occurred with the construction of the Apache Trail itself, in which the road was largely built by, here it comes, ready? Apaches, who worked 4 to 5 crews of 12 to 14 men and came from the neighboring Fort Apache and San Carlos Indian reservations. In addition to the Apache, African American and Mexicans were often employed as laborers, while many Italians were recruited as stonemasons, and Northern Europeans often worked as supervisors. No racism here, none whatsoever. How do you spell racism? I spell it. Here's the kicker, though. And I'm certain that this part is so washed over it's not even funny. The Chinese and the Japanese, on the other hand, were barred from working as laborers and were employed in lower wage jobs in the mess halls, hospitals, and as domestics. Let that sink in for just a moment. The Chinese and the Japanese, who had basically built the American West, were barred from working as laborers. What? All right, the very last piece of this is the Apache were responsible for the road's quick construction and were credited for being skilled at construction of dry-laid masonry for road embankments, many of which still survive today. When first hired by the reclamation engineer Lewis C. Hill, many of the Apache were malnourished from time spent on the reservation, and as a result, were paid less until they were strong enough to work a full day. Let me get this straight. You're going to pay somebody less for doing the same amount of work because they're malnourished and still putting in a full day of work, and you're going to pay them less so that they can afford less food in order to feed themselves so that they can come to work for you. What? That makes no sense. Once they became stronger, they were paid equivalent wages as others in the same job and job category, and were, in Hill's estimation, a superior workforce. While life and labor among the Apache Trail was not an easy job, but for the Apache who chose to work on this project to support their families, it provided some small refuge from life on the reservation. I can't even. I can't even. I can't even. I can't even. That shit just makes me fucking angry. It makes me insanely fucking angry. I don't care. It just pisses me off. Most of the people that are watching this have never experienced racism firsthand. I've lived with it my entire life in one way, shape, or form or another. Half of my adult life, half of my non-adult life has been racism. Let's go take a look. Let's go take a look. It's a pity we can't get up there. We can if we don't drive. We can hike it, we can walk around it, and then hike over the ridge there and go take a look and look at the dam that way. But I think that's the only way we're going to get there. So there's Canyon Lake. You gotta see this. You thought the episode was over. Look at this. I think that is enough yapping for today. What do you kids think? Thanks a bunch for watching. Appreciate your time, your patience, and your patronage. If you like this stuff, please smash that like button down below. It really helps out the channel. Right next to that is the subscribe button, and right next to that is the notifications bell. Please click both to subscribe to the channel and to be notified every single time I upload new content. And there is a boatload of new content coming, considering if I have money to do that, which is my quaint and lovely segue into the fact that Mr. Miles is flat broke poor at this point and needs some cash, needs some help from you. So $1, $3, $5, $7, whatever you can afford. Find the Patreon link down below, because if you donate, then it puts gas in that tank and food in this stomach so that I can continue to travel the country telling you a few stories that I know you've never heard before, taking you places like this that you may or may not have seen before. And if you have, smile, nod, and wave and say, that's just lovely. And if you haven't, then $1, $3, $5, $7, because YouTube is not paying me a rat's dime for this stuff, because I don't have 1,000 subscribers and I don't have 4,000 watch hours in a year. So because I don't have those things, I need a little help on the road. So $1, $3, $5, find the Patreon link down below and hook a brother up. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your time and your patience and your patronage, and I look forward to seeing you somewhere along this road. Bye.